I was going to change sweaters, but let's be real, I'm filming this the same day and nobody cares. So hello, my name is Michaela. Welcome to my top 5 reads of 2019. These are the books that I enjoyed the most, that I got the most out of, that kind of like really, I wouldn't say like shook my world a lot. Like a couple of them definitely did, and then a couple of them I just enjoyed and were really fun. I'm going to start with number 5 and then work my way up to number 1, as lists tend to do. Okay. You know how these things work. I'm not inventing the genre. It will come as a shock to absolutely no one who knows me to find out that 3 of these 5 books are hella gay, because it's my number 1 genre, just books that are hella gay. Maybe that's what I should do. Maybe I should, instead of separating my books by genre, I should separate them by gay and not gay. Is that an efficient use of my time? Do I have enough gay? You can never have enough gay. Alright, so number 5 on my list is The Music of What Happens by, I should learn the authors' names before I say things out loud. The Music of What Happens by Bill Konigsberg. I don't know why I can't breathe all of a sudden. It's cool. It's cool. So this is a cute little romance friendship story about these 2 boys. Do I remember which one is which? No, I don't. Like I said in my last video, I don't remember anything. This was a book I got at YALLFest 2018, but I didn't read it until 2019. So in this book, the 2 main characters, Max and Jordan, meet when one of them, which is Jordan, yes, one of them is running a food truck, and the other one sort of gets hired to help out, and then they become friends, and then they fall in love, and they do the things that you do in a romance book. It's great. One thing I really loved about this was its discussion of race. I really liked the way friendships were critiqued, if that makes sense. In this book, the 2 main characters, Max and Jordan, each are part of their own like trio of friends. Each of the trios has a distinct dynamic, and the 2 trios are very similar, but they're also very different. And I think the way that each trio deals with one of its members' queerness is super interesting, and then the way that the friendship seeps into the relationship, and the relationship seeps into the friendships, just super good, really cool examination of friendships and sort of the ruts we get into with our friends, and how they're not always helpful, they're not always good, but they can be. Like no relationship in this book is like 100% good or 100% bad. Like every single relationship is complicated and has to evolve and has to grow, and I really like that. It's really well written, it's super cool, very gay, just a great book, highly recommend. So number 4 on my list, surprise surprise, gay again, Amelia Westlake Was Never Here by Erin Goff. It's up to you to decide. No, it's not. It's up to her. But also, I don't know. I should have looked it up, and I didn't. I apologize. This is also a YALLFest 2018 pick. Didn't know it was going to be lovely and gay, but I lucked out. So this book is Australian, or I don't know if the author is Australian, but it takes place in Australia, and all the characters are Australian. So, takes place at an all-girls private school, or maybe all schools are like this in Australia. I don't know. I am sadly American. But at this all-girls school, there is a swim coach who has been like mistreating female students, we'll say that. And the school hasn't really done anything about it. So these 2 students who are really different, Harriet and Will, one's like type A, perfect, just like does everything right, and one's sort of like an artistic, more like political rebel type. They team up to create a fictional character, a fictional student named Amelia Westlake, right there. And Amelia Westlake starts making political art and doing very political, outspoken things on campus, and she gets a following, and it kind of spirals out of control as they start critiquing bigger and bigger things through this character, Amelia Westlake. And then, of course, over time, these 2 girls who like kind of can't stand each other, but they're on the same side, and they fall in love because it's a cute little romance. This is just, it's super smart. It's super funny. The romance is great because it settles into good beats. It comes into its own at the appropriate time. It's not sort of like jammed down your throat from the beginning. I mean, it's like very clear from the beginning, like this is a romance. It's not a secret. But it's just, it was so lovely for me to read about, like, these girls' queerness was not, it wasn't a thing. Like, it wasn't a thing in this book. They were just queer, and like that was the end of the story. Like one could conceivably write maybe not exactly the same story, but something very, very similar that took place at a co-ed school, and you know, one of the characters was a dude and one of the characters was a girl. Like, you could make this heterosexual. It certainly would not be as good, and it would not be the same story, but you could hit, it wasn't a huge queer love story. It was a fantastic love story that was queer, and that felt very refreshing to me. I love huge queer love stories, and in fact, surprise, surprise, that's what my number one book of the year is. But in this book, that wasn't the focus. It was just, they were two girls who fell in love while they were also doing this other project, and it just, loved it. Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. As someone who like typically does not read romances, as someone who does not usually read romance, I picked a lot of romances for my top 5, and I think that's very interesting. Maybe there is something beating under here after all. Number 3 is possibly the most, like, epic of the books on this list. Lovely War by Julie Berry. This book is a monster. Was this also a Yellowfest book? Sure as shit was. I don't know how to describe this book without giving it away. It's 2 love stories. Takes place during World War II. No, 1. 1? Okay, well, it takes place during World War II and World War I. Okay, it's on the back of the book. If it's on the back of the book, I can't be spoiling it. But, okay, so basically, it's World War II, and the Greek gods Eros and Ares, what the fuck? Ares and Aphrodite get caught having an affair by Hephaestus, Aphrodite's husband. And in order to sort of like get out of trouble, Aphrodite and Ares start spinning a tale of lovers from World War I. So the bulk of this story is the story of these 2 sets of lovers in World War I. I'm just going to read from the back of the book about who the 4 of them are, because I certainly was not going to remember this. I read this whole thing in less than 24 hours, but over 2 days, because I just physically couldn't put it down. So we've got Hazel, James, Aubrey, and Colette, a classical pianist from London, a British would-be architect turned soldier, a Harlem-born ragtime genius in the U.S. Army, and a Belgian orphan with a gorgeous voice and a devastating past. Don't remember the salient details. It's such... I'm so easily entertained. Okay. It's so sweeping. It feels so big. It feels like Keira Knightley should just be playing every character. Like, it's so good. It's so good. It feels, you will feel small reading it. Like, you will feel, but like in a good way, not like you'll feel insignificant, but you will feel like you can't possibly understand. I started a YouTube channel to talk about books, and I can't even talk about it because it's, I mean, look, it's so big. First of all, it's got, what is this called? Like, not an index. It's got like pages of historical notes in the back with like context and things, and it's got a bibliography. Hello. But it's so beautiful. And it is unfortunately not gay. I don't think there's really, well, I think there's like a smidgen of gay, but it's not the fuck it is. It is 2 straight stories. Well, if you count Ares and Aphrodite, 3 straight romances. But it's gorgeous. The writing is amazing. The research, the way that you simultaneously feel in it with these characters in World War I, but you also feel more like you're this hazy mist watching from the future. I guess. Maybe that's just me. But super beautiful and heavy and literally like it's an epic romance. So good. Number 2 on my list is a book that I do not own. I borrowed it from a friend, so I will put a picture of it somewhere here, and that is The Astonishing Color of After by Emily X.R. Pan. It is hauntingly beautiful. It's a story about grief. The Astonishing Color of After is a story about a young woman who is half white, half Chinese, whose mother, her Chinese parent, commits suicide, and in an effort to get closer to her and to that side of the family, she sort of like picks up her life and goes with her father to visit her grandmother in China. Her grandmother, who her mother has not spoken to in years, and it's just a story about this girl learning about her mother, learning about her family, learning about grief and herself, and what she wants out of life, what she's afraid of, and learning about her father. Sort of the through line of this story is that the girl believes that her mother, after she died, transformed into a bird, and that she has to connect with this bird before she loses her mother forever. And it deals with mental illness and grief, like I said, and family, and how hard it is to be alive. It's so wonderful. I think I said haunting before, and it's so true. It just like, it sits on you, it weighs on your chest, and it lives inside you, it gets under your skin, and it's so, I loved it. It was unbelievable. The writing, I wish I had the book with me. I'm going over to her house today. I could steal the book, but then I'd have to re-record this, and I just don't feel like it. Every sentence was so beautifully crafted. I am an absolute slut for language. The language of this was gorgeous. Couldn't get enough of it. Amazing. After I read this book, I wanted to just like, my dishwasher is so loud. After I finished this book, I wanted to just like go like lay down in a field, in the street, on the moon. Just I needed to lay down. Very, very good. Definitely worthy, I think, of the number 2 spot for best books that I read of the year. Which brings me to my number 1, the best book I read this year. I read this book and I couldn't handle it as I was reading it. So I have this pen pal named Carolyn. Hello, Carolyn, if you're watching. And we share a love of, obviously, letter writing, because we are pen pals. We share a love of Walt Whitman, and we share a love of everything queer. So when I picked up this book and started reading it, I was like freaked out. Well, first of all, okay, so the title is We Contain Multitudes, and it is by Sarah Henstra. And so obviously the title is a reference to Walt Whitman, and so I was very excited once I started reading it, because I love Walt Whitman. And I started reading it, and I don't know how far into it I got. I know it was less than 100 pages, and I was DMing my pen pal Carolyn to say, you need to stop what you're doing and find this book and read it, because it is gutting. I feel like I've used all of the words to describe the previous 5 books, and now I'm out of words. So this is a story of Joe and Curl, who are good classmates at well, they're not classmates. I don't think they actually have any classes together, but they go to the same high school in Minnesota. Yes. And Joe he's this one, very artistic. He dresses like Walt Whitman because Walt Whitman is his idol. Loves poetry, loves art. He's a musician, like just very sort of your stereotypical. I don't know if he's stereotypical. He's not like femme. Is he femme? No, he's not femme, but like he's sort of that like waifish, quiet gay boy. I don't know. I feel like every high school, like in my high school, he would have been a theater kid. But in this high school, he's the poetry kid. And then Curl is a member of the football team. Very jock, not out to his family or anybody. And the two of them get paired together in a pen pal project in the school. So they're not in the same class. Curl is 18 and Joe starts out at 15, but he turns 16 over the course of the book. So the entire story is, and it's an epistolary novel, so the entire thing is told over the course of letters that they write to each other, and it is so fucking gorgeous. This writing just like digs its claws into you and forces you to pay attention. The writing style is so unique, so I don't know how to describe it. Like, it's so, like, poetic feels like it's not enough. Artistic feels like it's not enough. All of the words that I have to describe it feel like they're not enough. It's everything. It's everything. It's just, I think my pen pal I know has reread this book at least 5 times. And I've read it twice. Both times that I've read it, as I'm reading it, it feels too much. It feels like, surely I'm going to drown in this. Surely I can't survive it. It's almost quiet in how loud it is. I'm shaking the hell out of this book because I want to magically pass it through my camera to you on the other side of this so that you two can just have this. I don't think I've ever had a book shake me like this shook me. I realize I haven't talked at all about, I mean, I've given you like a very brief summary of what this book is about, but I feel like I haven't talked about it, but I don't know what to say. This book it's about family, and it's about loss, and it's about pain, and it's about making beauty out of something, out of a situation, out of a time, out of a feeling that seems so ugly and so dark that beauty couldn't possibly survive. And then it's also about love, and it's about these two boys who carve out a space for each other in their own hearts and in their world that doesn't necessarily care if they have that space. I need to stop talking about it. I think I've been talking about this book for like 10 full minutes now, but I also haven't said anything. This is by far and away my number 1 book of 2019. I'm gonna say my number 1 book of the entire decade. I think for a book to top this in 2020, it's gonna have to be something just downright extraordinary, because I want to cradle this thing like a child and just carry it with me everywhere. So those were my top 5 books of 2019. I think I would say that these 5 books show a lot about who I am, the fact that I picked them to be 5 books, but I actually don't know that it's true. I don't actually typically read this many romances, and all 4 of these are romances, and then the Astonishing Love After was not a romance. I don't think there was any romantic element in that book at all. I don't normally read that many romances. I mean, this year, because so many of the books I read were books that I picked up from YALLFest 2018, YA books oftentimes skew romantic. So just, the sheer number I read was more, so obviously the chances were that there was going to be one that was really good that I really liked. I'm going to put the link to my Goodreads page down below, so you can go ahead and scroll through. Anything I read in 2019, I have tagged or put on a 2019 bookshelf. So you can see literally everything I read in 2019, number of times I read it, and if I wrote a review about it or not. Like I said, that was my top 5 list. Coming up next is going to be my bottom 5 list. Will I change shirts for that? Yes, I will. It's very hot in here. Okay, bye.